Welcome, and this is our second interview in our We Are USAHS Library interview series with our library staff. And today we have Julie Evener, our Director of Library Services, here to kind of share some deep information about herself. So yeah, welcome, Julie.
Thank you. I don't know how deep it'll be, but we'll see, Matthew.
We'll try as far as we can go. But yeah, so just to kind of start us off, I figure we can just ask a basic question is kind of describing your job, even though I'm sure the answer is probably not so basic.
Yeah, there's a lot to it, but essentially my job is to be responsible for kind of all the big picture stuff with the library at the university, planning, budgeting, hiring, project management, things like that. But I love working with students, especially online. So you'll often see me replying to you in our library chat service or answering emails that students send to library@usa.edu. So I have my fingers in a little bit of everything.
So another kind of question we'd like to know more about you is, how did you get started working in libraries?
Okay, so I was an English major in college and I had about 3,000 minors, just learning about lots of different things. And I was really trying to figure out my career path with that. This was when I was probably a junior. And so one of the ideas I had was, I could work in a library. I could be, and specifically I wanted to work in an academic library, which is a library in a higher education institution. And so to kind of see how I liked it, I started working as a work-study student in my college library. Just to learn more about it, and I ended up loving it, of course. Obviously I did, otherwise I wouldn't have done that job. But I love working in higher education, and I love finding information, like searching through databases for good sources, things like that. The parts of it that most people don't like, right? Most people don't like that sort of a thing, but I really have a passion for it. So it was really a natural fit for me to do that.
Yeah, I always find it with people in the library profession, always to land into the position rather than not like initially kind of like going for it. So yeah, it's always funny how people kind of just essentially kind of just land into it.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is once I decided that's what I was going to do, and I kind of called my mom and I said, I'm going to be a librarian, and she was like, well, I don't know what took you so long to figure out that that's what you should do. So, apparently my mom knew before I did that was what I was destined to be.
It just came naturally.
So.
Nice. But yeah, so another kind of fun thing we want to know about you is what are you reading currently?
So you caught me in between books, but I've got my next one picked out. I'm about to start reading. It's a book called Fly Girls by Keith O'Brien. There it is right there. It's a nonfiction book. It's about the pioneering women aviators of the 1920s and 30s. So I'm excited to dig into it. I know that there's, they were doing really innovative things, not just for women, but for any of the aviators at the time. So, and you don't hear about them as much as you do the male aviators, other than Amelia Earhart, of course, which we all hear about. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to digging into it.
Awesome. Yeah, I always love seeing like the unexplored or kind of the hidden parts of history. That's really nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. And on a kind of related topic, you were talking about how you're in between books. Is do you find yourself like kind of like reading multiple books at the same time, kind of like trying to see which one to like devote to?
I've never been that kind of person. So I know that there are readers who do that, but I have never been that kind of person. I always have to start and then finish a book. When I'm reading a book, I just get so immersed in it that if I switch to something else, it's almost jarring to my psyche to do that. So I start a book and I finish it. And the funny thing is, even if I don't really like it, I'm just compelled to finish it. And so I kind of try to pick, I read a wide variety of books, but I sort of try to pick them carefully so that I'm not stuck wasting time reading this book I don't even like, because I know I'll have to finish it once I start it. But yeah, surprisingly, I haven't been doing, maybe not surprisingly, I haven't been doing more reading necessarily since we've been home throughout the pandemic. I have two small children, so I still kind of have to fit in my quiet time reading after their bedtimes or things like that. So it's, you know, it is what it is. Actually, when I was on campus working, I would spend a lot of my lunch break reading, and now I can't really do that. So.
Totally. Yeah, I totally envy that type of dedication to one book. I personally can't like seem to stay on just one topic or one book for sure. So I definitely admire the dedication to it. But yeah, so, and this is kind of the deeper part that I was kind of alluding to before, but our next question is what's one thing people would be surprised to learn about you?
So I was thinking about this, what I could answer here. And I think some things that people would be surprised to learn about me is that I'm a huge baseball fan. I love baseball. My favorite team is the Tampa Bay Rays. I grew up in St. Petersburg, Florida, so it's kind of my hometown team. I was a kid when the franchise started. And yeah, I just love it. Up until this year, I've gone to at least one game every year that, you know, they've been playing, and this year nobody can go see them, but they're doing great, so I'm excited.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, personally for me, like I think my first experience actually attending a baseball game was last year, actually. So
Oh,
I guess
really?
I'll have to go to you for any tips on actually understanding what's going on.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like the slow pace of it, but I like that, and I like that there's just so much strategy involved in it, and I guess in any sport there is, but I don't know, something about baseball is just kind of poetic to me, so I enjoy it.
So kind of relating back to, back to the library. So one of the things is, I'm sure some of our viewers might want to know is what is a hidden gem that you think is inside the library in terms of a resource, a service, etc.?
Yeah, so one amazing resource that we have that I'm not sure a lot of people know about is Dynamed. So the official kind of name of what Dynamed is, it's officially called a point of care reference tool, which basically means that it's a digital encyclopedia of evidence-based information about various conditions, interventions, symptoms, diagnoses, even pharmaceuticals. And medical and health sciences practitioners use it. They refer to it when they're working with patients, kind of as almost a cheat sheet while you're meeting with patients, sort of a thing. It's a great resource. Even for students, right? I mean, it's designed for health practitioners who are out in the field, but it's great even for students. You know, if you're thinking, well, what are the, you know, the symptoms again of XYZ, and, you know, you can kind of look it up there. But it's great. The articles are updated frequently by experts, and it even has notes telling you what was edited when, so you can kind of see, it's very transparent, right? You can see, okay, well, this was changed on this date, and they changed things based on new evidence as it arises that's published in the literature. And all of the articles in it are based on primary research studies published in the literature, and they cite them right within the articles. So if you were reading one of the Dynamed articles and you wanted to know more, you could go and read the full primary article if you wanted to, the original report of that research study. They tell you, you know, what they're basing it on. So I think it's a really great resource, and for students, for health practitioners, great when you're on internship, I think, too, to use that. But yeah, Dynamed's pretty interesting. I find myself, of course, I don't work with patients, but I find myself, if I have a medical question for myself or for my family, I'll go to Dynamed and kind of look at it. It's not intended for consumers, but because I have that little bit of medical information knowledge from my job, I feel like it's okay. It's at an okay level for me to understand most of what it's talking about. So yeah, I use it even for my own personal life. It's a really great tool.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think that's a great point about like using it during internships. I never actually thought about that.
Yeah.
So I'll definitely be recommending that to internship students for sure in the future. But yeah, I mean, like I always get like questions from students in terms of asking, like they want that like perfect, like evidence-based like article that talks about like the whole overview of like a certain condition or a treatment or anything like that. And they don't even realize, yeah, that Dynamed would definitely fit that type of criteria for them rather than
Yeah.
for a scholarly article, like just one of them. So definitely.
Yeah.
Awesome. As a concluding question to this great interview is, what is a tip that you have for working from home?
That's a good one. I think the most important thing for me has been to stay active. It's really easy when you're working from home, really when you're working any sort of sedentary job, to just kind of stay glued to your chair all day. And, you know, there were at work, or when I at work, but, you know, when I went to campus to work, there were a lot of opportunities to get up just in the natural course of things. You know, the bathroom wasn't 10 feet from where I was sitting, or, you know, during my lunch break, I would go outside of my office. And so there were opportunities to walk around. And so I have to create those opportunities to walk around while I'm working from home. You know, during my lunch break every day, I get out around my neighborhood and do like a 25, 30-minute walk during my lunch break, even though it's like the hottest part of the day. I don't know, I didn't think that through, but, and that's been really helpful. It's been really helpful for me to just kind of take that break, relax, exercise my body a little bit, get my body moving, and I come back really refreshed for my afternoon after that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like for me, like it's a complete change from like campus life, and yeah, like finding those different types of opportunities to move around. And now I'm just kind of like finding new things about my home, you know, that I never knew were there. So yeah, totally.
I've learned that my internet usually stops working for a few seconds about 10 a.m. every day, and then it comes back. I don't know. I never knew that before.
No, totally, right? Or like you find like there's a certain like dead zone in your house that doesn't quite have a great of a connection. Yeah, totally. But yeah, well, thank you so much for spending some time with us, kind of getting to know you, sharing the behind the scenes of who Julie Evener is. And yeah, I want to thank you.
All right, thank you, Matthew. I appreciate the thought that went into these questions. It was fun to answer.
So yeah, that concludes our interview here for our We Are USAHS Library interviews. Tune in again for the next interview.